Welcome to Toilets Titles, Down Under Dynasty. It's me, live at the Ben, here as always, and with my good mate, Matt Hatton at Effort Format. How are you today, Matt?
Mate, I'm doing wonderfully well. Had a pretty lazy Sunday, had some lunch and some friends who stayed for dinner and had a bit of a lazy day. I think we've got 5, 6, half a dozen drafts all over the shop at once. So I'm loving it, mate. I'm living life. How about yourself?
Mate, my missus bought a $45 air fryer from the supermarket, and that thing it's going to change my life, mate.
Is that from Aldi?
Nah, just from Woolworths. I don't think the Americans will know that, but Woolies $45, mate. Put some potato hash, put some hash browns in there. Like 10 minutes, they just come out perfect. Fried up some dim sims, magic, mate, magic.
And my sister-in-law's got one. She did a whole roast in there. You can do anything in there, right?
This is the basic one, mate. This is the basic one, but golden. Very happy with the purchase.
Nice.
Other than that, just quiet weekend after being out and about last weekend. But one thing that's been going on is rookie drafts. So look, we're in, as we mentioned before, several leagues, and the rookie drafts are coming fast and thick at the moment. And quite a few of them I traded out, so I don't have picks everywhere. But we were going to concentrate on a couple tonight in our discussions. Those leagues being the Console Wars Dynasty League, which is a league that I commish. It's a 36-team league with 3 copies of every player, and it's just one big draft with 3 copies of each other player in the draft. So essentially, there's 3 101s, right? Because the first 3 teams picking could all theoretically pick Trevor Lawrence, and well, that's what they did. They all picked Trevor Lawrence. So we're going to look at that draft, and then we're going to look at another draft that was quite different from most any other Superflex drafts that we've been seeing. But we'll come back to Console Wars, and we'll start off there, Matt. So what's your take so far on the Console Wars draft? And I'm going to see if I can share my screen.
I think you're just frozen. Your screen seems to be frozen. I can hear your voice fine, but your screen looks like it's frozen.
Yeah.
But carry on. All good. Okay, got your screen up here.
Can you see that?
Yep.
So as the people can see, we've got Trevor Lawrence at the 101, Trevor Lawrence at the 102, and Trevor Lawrence at the 103.
Pretty chalk.
I'm just going to remove and then add myself back in.
I think this is it's a Superflex tight end premium. It's half a point per reception for tight end. Just a little bit of a bump for tight ends. I think that's pretty much it. I think it's 6-point scoring. Pretty standard Superflex league.
Pretty standard, yeah. So, I mean, is there anything here that surprised you so far of the picks that have come off the board, Matt?
Look, I guess Trey Lance has fallen quite a lot, and I tried very hard to move up. So I was at the 108, 1.23, which is the last 108, I think, 8, 16, 24. So yeah, the second last people. That's me there.
Zach Wilson. Yep.
I was pretty happy to get Wilson there. I thought it was going to be Mac Jones territory, which I was going to just nab him. But as soon as I saw Lance fall, I jumped all over it. Offered up a number of trades, and everyone was in full rookie fever. I had DeAndre Hopkins offering him around, but no one wanted to bar with him. I tried to chuck in my second and a couple of thirds to move up just 2 spots. Couldn't do it. And I think good mate of ours, Lloyd, he got a steal. He got 2 firsts.
Yep.
To move back, and then took Trey Lance anyway. And then I think there's another massive trade for George. George got BTFGO. He ended up grabbing CeeDee Lamb for a second and his pick, which I think the Jet went. No, did he go Najee or Trey Lance? One of Trey Lance.
I think that was the 1.16.
Yeah, that was Trey Lance. Yeah, so he had a chance to get Lance, and he sold it for CeeDee Lamb. So, apples for apples there. I probably would smash Lamb there, but I do love Lance. So, but yeah, that just really stuck out to me. Just the amount people are getting for these picks, and then also just the quarterback falling a little bit. Zach Wilson. There's still a copy of Zach Wilson out there, so he might go, late in the draft. And obviously, Mac Jones is going to be towards the end of the first, if not early second.
Yeah. So one of the things that, the CeeDee Lamb trade was one that that surprised me. I think it was a very fair trade. I probably would have taken the quarterback, to be honest with you. I'm not participating in the first round of this draft because last year I traded my first round pick for Todd Gurley. So please don't if I don't think anybody's watching live, but if you start or if you listen to this podcast, don't stop listening. I promise we do know a little bit.
You have got a monster team. Your team's pretty stacked. So despite that dodgy trade, you're doing pretty well. So
yeah. Look, I think the thought behind it at the time is I thought I was going to get 2 RB1 seasons out of him. Two low-end RB1, high-end RB2 seasons just on volume and touchdowns. And the first 9 weeks of that season went to plan, but then it all ended in tears for Todd Gurley. But, hey, if I don't make that trade, then, I might not have finished first in my division, might not have taken home any money. So I'm still kind of happy with it. But back to the draft. And we got a comment here in the comments, and it's Lloyd Williams. And Lloyd actually made one of the best trades in this draft. Do you want to step us through that trade, Matt? Because you were actually involved with some negotiations with him.
Yeah, look, I was trying to offer Lloyd DeAndre Hopkins for this pick, which is what's that pick? Pick 106, I guess it is. So offered Hopkins, no interest. Offered up my 108 with a second and a third. Chuck in Cooks there. Offered Roethlisberger. Offered my firstborn son. There's no interest, and look, rightly so. Pretty smart draft by Lloyd, and I think he ended up. Well, actually, it was earlier than this, right? It was pick 115 where he was on the clock. He moved back 2 spots, got a future first, and then with the 117, took his quarterback he wanted anyway because obviously it's a multi-copy league, so he knew he could move back and still get his man. So it's free money, really. You're just on mute, mate.
Yeah, absolutely free money by Lloydie there to smash on Trey Lance and still walk away with the 2022 first. I mean, I think he had Devontae Parker on his side, but
which I traded to him stupidly. I should, if I don't give him that, maybe I get this pick. But anyway, it worked out well for Lloyd.
Look, I think Parker really is a pretty minor piece.
Yeah,
and I think it was this comes down to something that is one of your kind of mottos is know your mates and know your league mates. And Lloyd and pretty much anyone who knows Josh Goldberg from Any Given Pod and Dynasty Underdog knew that he was trying to get Najee anywhere and everywhere he could. So, yeah, smart trade by Lloydie there to make that trade. I think that's one of the best trades that I've seen in a while. Just dropping back, getting that first, and still getting Trey Lance. So, I'm seeing, I've seen drafts where he's gone over Trevor Lawrence. And I mean, I believe you took him in the first round of a startup that we're doing.
Trey Lance, yes. Yep, I took him right at the end. 112. I think I've got a few Burrow shares, and I do love Lance. It's the 1A, 1B there for me. Lawrence and Lance, obviously, you're paying a bit better ADP for Lance. Not massively, but he's fallen a little bit here, obviously. And landing spot is pretty favourable. So I think that's a great trade.
Yeah. So let's we're the 1.23. That is the equivalent of what pick?
108.
108. Yeah. And I think is the 1.24 the first 1.09 equivalent or the last 1.08 equivalent? I think it's the last 1.08 equivalent.
I think it's the last 1.08.
Yeah. And I mean, we've still got 2 copies of Zach Wilson on the board. Oh no, 1 copy of Zach Wilson.
1 copy. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I took the second copy. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a value there in Superflex to get Zach Wilson at the 1.08. A lot of hate for Zach Wilson at the moment, but I think if there's one thing that we've learnt the last few seasons with Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, and even to Lamar Jackson to a degree, because he wasn't fire when he played those few games at the end of his rookie season, and even Jalen Hurts. You don't want to get that quarterback that Dynasty Twitter is hating on.
Yeah.
Because there just seems to be something attached to that, and that guy just goes off.
Yeah, true. There was a lot of Herbert hate. I think I picked him up in a Devy league. I'm not a massive fan, but just got a good ADP, and obviously had no idea he was going to be what he was. But people were ripping on me a little bit that he was my future quarterback. He's proved us wrong. So hopefully again, it's the same with Zach Wilson. I would have been happy with Mac Jones here. It's probably, I know 108 to 110 is probably chalk for Mac Jones, but against Zach Wilson, I think that's a value pick.
So after, I mean, the first 6 in some order are generally Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, and Najee Harris. They're usually the first 6, and that's pretty. That they were the first 6 here, right?
Yep.
I mean, even though you're seeing them spread out throughout the board, they were all the players that went between 1.01 and 1.18 and pick 18, right? Who do you think? Who's the first? Obviously, for you, it's Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's the first guy in that tier for you. But if you got rid of let's assume all the quarterbacks are off the board. So let's say the first 7. Who's your favorite position player after that first 7? Players.
I guess it depends. Depends on team need. If we're getting point per carry or whatnot, I do love ETN. Landing spot, I guess, is the only sort of question. I did see an article somewhere that he's been training with the wide receivers. But yeah, look, I think that's all smoke and mirrors. I think he takes over the backfield, hopefully, for fantasy, for my couple of shares. But yeah, I think Etienne or Devonta Smith, maybe even Jalen Waddle. But yeah, probably the 2 that went there. I think that's a pretty good picks. What about yourself, mate? What are you thinking?
Look, for me, it's Jalen Waddle. I just love his talent and the way he moves, and I think he's a really good route runner. And the way he doesn't just have speed, but the way he uses his speed and he accelerates, decelerates, really plays with the corner's mind. And, obviously he's fast and quick, but I really think that he's quite the complete package as a wide receiver. And I'm not sure if we'll see it year 1 in terms of the stats, because Miami's got a lot of weapons now with Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Gesicki, Waddle. So I'm not sure if the statistics will be there year one, but he's clearly my wide receiver 2 over Devonta Smith now. I just like that situation better. I don't feel great. Even though, Jalen, we just said, Jalen Hurts is obviously a value now compared to where he's going in rookie drafts. I think he'll be good for fantasy. I don't know how good he'll be for the wide receivers. And I still also really like Jalen Reagor and his talent, even though he didn't show out last year.
Here's the back of my mind as well. I think I just picked him up somewhere pretty late in one of our startups that we're doing. But obviously, it didn't look great there, but he had a couple of injuries. So I think he might, see a bit of positive regression this year.
So when's your next pick in this thing, and who are you hoping to get with that pick?
I think I've got a late second. I've also got a trade, which I can hit accept on, Cooks for a late second. So I might hit accept on that and try and trade up there. Don't want to give too many industry secrets away because it's still a live draft. But yeah, I've got a couple of my guys at wide receivers that I'm looking at grabbing. I don't really feel like shagging a running back at this point. I think most of Sermon and Carter will probably be gone by the end of the mid to the end of the second. So yeah, it'll probably be one of the running backs. I'm sure there'll be a Tony copy floating around there, or Elijah Moore or someone, which is still a bit of a value. And my team's a rebuild. I think I've sold all my running backs, except I got picked up Mostert and Henderson when I traded for CD. They were just throw-ins. Got Damien Harris, but pretty much everyone else are wide receivers. So I made a decision. I've got DeAndre Watson, and obviously he's going to be out for a little bit of time. So rather than try and just struggle through, I thought I'd take a chance and just rebuild here. I made the playoffs the first year. Second year, I just missed out on the playoffs. But the way this league, which is probably my favourite league, it's a great league. It's only the top 4 teams out of each division, right? Like, it's not top 6. You've got to be top 4. And then when you do go to the playoffs, you don't want to sneak in because you're facing top 4 from 2 other divisions as well. So you're facing some pretty good teams there. So you don't really want to just sneak in and make it. You want to try and go in with a little bit of momentum. Obviously luck's involved, but a little bit different than your standard league. This one.
Yeah, it's a bit different than your standard league. Really, I mean, every team that makes the playoffs is an absolute. They're a stud team, and you can't have a bad week in the playoffs with this league. So, I think look, you need depth in Dynasty, but with this league, you need studs. Because if you don't have the studs, you're not going to get through the playoffs. And, Willie Beeman from Any Given Pod and Dynasty Underdog podcast, he was the champion last year. And you can come from anywhere in this league. Once you're in the playoffs, it doesn't really matter whether you're the 1 seed or the 4 seed or the 12th seed. Every team is strong. Anyone can knock anyone off in any given week. And we say that a lot of the time in fantasy, but in this league, it's really, really true. Do you think you're going to be a contender next year, Matt?
Look, I don't think so. Like I said, I pretty much got 0 running backs. So I'll probably do a 1-year rebuild. I don't want to do a multi-year rebuild. I don't really believe in that. But yeah, I'll probably sell off some of my players during the season, and then rebuild from there into 23. Hopefully, take a bit of advantage of the 23 hype that's going around, and do a couple of Lloyd Williams trades and learn from the master. But yeah, that's my plan. Probably next year, I think I'll just carry the youth. I've got Lamar and Watson and Zach Wilson now, and Sid Lamb, a few other youngsters. So carry them and pick up a couple of running backs. For a tilt, the following.
You've got the wide receivers. You just need to mind those running backs, mate.
Yeah, I had a few. I said I think I sold Chris Carson for this first, which is pretty good. This is obtained Chris Carson and Zach Wilson, so that's pretty good. Thanks, Mark Bull, for that trade. And I had the greenback running back who slipped my name now. Aaron Jones. I had Aaron Jones. Thought for all money he was not going to resign. So sold him, but I've got CD, and CD's up there with my wide receiver on tier with probably just under AJ Brown as the wide receiver 2 or 3. I think you probably have them similar from what I'm seeing some of your tweets.
I have CD Lamb as my wide receiver 3 in Dynasty. I actually have him above Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I think I saw that today, and look, that makes sense to me too. I think long term he's going to be sitting there with tied to Dak. Once Amari Cooper hopefully moves on, he's going to be the man there. So yeah, you can't go wrong with either really, Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb. But if you have a Jefferson share and you can trade it for Lamb, which I do have a Jefferson share, I'd be doing that all day if I could pick up another little piece.
Yeah, I think for me, and I said this yesterday, it's just the quarterback situation. Because if the Vikings move on from Cousins, they could find themselves in quarterback purgatory, and then who knows what's going to happen with Jefferson and what kind of numbers he's going to put up. Whereas CeeDee Lamb is locked in to Dak, who just signed that contract extension and was on pace for a ridiculous amount of yards last year. And I think Amari Cooper will have a good year. But I think after this year, it's CeeDee Lamb as a clear wide receiver 1 in that offense.
Probably should have pulled his contract up, but I think it's a pretty favourable cut for them next year. And Cowboys, they're not going to win many games by 10-7. It's going to be 44-40 sort of games. They'll be throwing the ball. So yeah, pretty happy to get CD.
Agree with that, mate. So that's enough console wars talk. I'm sure the people are sick of that, but we're going to have a look at another Dynasty League rookie draft, and I think this one will blow a few people's socks off. So I'm just going to share my screen again. There it is. And so just to be clear, folks, this is a Superflex league. Right, and this is a Superflex rookie draft. And as you can see, Kyle Pitts as the 1.01. I mean, a lot of people are saying he's the 102 after Lawrence. I don't think that's super crazy. Not something I would do. Is it something that you would do, Matt?
102, maybe. Not in this league. It's not a tight end premium league. I guess that doesn't matter massively, but some of those premiums are, 2 points per reception and half a point per first down and bonuses for touchdowns and whatnot. I think I sort of, in the chat for this league, I just said, look, there's no way in the world I could take a tight end in front of Trevor Lawrence, and I probably wouldn't take him in front of Trey Lance. But I guess if you have a couple of early picks, you can take your picks early and come back and get one of the quarterbacks. You're still getting a stud quarterback in the mid rounds. But yeah, look, this was a bit of a surprise for me. Have seen a bit of Pitts, not hate, but a bit of people just saying, you're banking on to be this and you're banking on to be that, and that's fine. As we draft for upside, we're not drafting. For floor, I don't often anyway. You want that upside, right? You want to win these leagues, you get these upside guys. But yeah, for 101, that's a bit of a shock.
I mean, I agree with that take. I mean, all these players that we take high, we're banking on them to be elite players, right? We're banking on Jamar Chase being an elite wide receiver 1. I've seen him go before DK Metcalf in startups. Najee Harris, we're banking on him getting 15 to 20 touches. I think the opinion, though, is that it's just going to happen straight away for these guys. And some people think, I'll draft Kyle. I'll let someone else draft Kyle Pitts, and I'll buy him low when he takes a little bit of time to develop. That is not going to happen. The people who are taking him high in rookie drafts are not going to sell after 1 year. Even if he does next to nothing, they're going to hold. The majority of people. The people that we play Dynasty with, I can't speak for the whole of the Twitterverse, but they're all really plugged in people. They're all on Twitter, listen to podcasts, follow, fantasy football massively. They're not doing silly things like drafting Kyle Pitts at the 102 or in this case, the 101, and then trading him for pennies on the dollar after a year. They're all aware that it might take a little bit of time. But still, to me, the 101, especially in this league where there's no tight end premium, I think that's nuts. But what's more nuts is what followed. So, 102, Jamar Chase. 103, Najee Harris. And now, 1.04, Trevor Lawrence is when the first quarterback came off the board. This knocked my socks off. I couldn't believe it. Right? I went into the draft having the 106 and wanting a quarterback and thinking I would have to settle for Zach Wilson, which I don't think. I don't like to use the word settle. I think he's right up there with the other guys. He was the 102 for a reason. I think that Shanahan might have taken him over Lawrence if he wasn't locked into the New York Jets. But I've been able to get him a bit later in other places. So when I got Justin Fields here at the 106, I was thrilled. I didn't think I was going to get a Justin Fields share. And to see the first quarterback not come off the board to 1.04 in a Superflex draft, Trevor Lawrence, the Messiah, the Jesus. We've been waiting for this guy to get into the NFL since the end of his freshman season, right? He would have been, if he had been able to come out after his freshman season, he would have been the 101 in every Superflex draft from that point on, over the other guys that have, gone 101. Kyler Murray. I can't even remember who was it last year.
Burrow.
Yeah.
He would have gone Taylor.
He would have gone over all those guys for the last 2 years. So to see him fall to 104 in this draft.
I had no. There you go.
You go, Matt.
I had no picks in this league. I think I went 10-0. So I sold all my picks for win now players. You got to start 12 in this league, and I had no running backs, and somehow I lucked my way into a 10-0. I think my only running back might have been Mixon, who got hurt, and so I bought Hunt. Otherwise, I would have tried to move up the minute I saw these drop, and I think you nearly got Lance. I think the guy who took 105 was humming and ahhing over Lance or Fields. So I think you would have been pretty happy either way there. But yeah, just to just go over what you said, it's very surprising that people are sleeping a little bit on Lawrence here. Even if you don't believe, if you're not a believer, you're going to be able to. He has one massive game, and you can flip him for name it price, open check sort of thing. So. Bit of surprise to see him go. Even the Kyle Pitts, I can understand taking Kyle Pitts there. I wouldn't do it, but to take a running back over Lawrence, questionable to me, and then even Jamar Chase. it's going to take a little while, and it's crowded. It's crowded wide receiver room, right? He's got T. Higgins. He's still killing it there. You got Boyd. Obviously, Chase is a stud, but I'm taking a quarterback every time.
Yeah, so am I. And I understand get your guy, and trading isn't always easy. But if the guys, if anyone picking at the people picking at 1 or 2 or 103, they could have got a future second at least out of me to move up. I mean, for me to move up and for them to drop down to my 106, they could have got a future second. No problems. I mean, it wasn't something I was looking to do because I just envisioned it was going to be too expensive. Right? I thought the quarterbacks would go for sure. And I'm not a slave to trade calculators or anything like that. But if you put Trevor Lawrence, for example, in a trade calculator, like the DTC Dynasty trade calculator, his value is like 50 overall. That's a solid first round pick more in value than any other prospect in this draft.
Well, where's he going in startups now? 107, 108. We're talking about startups, right?
Yeah, 107, 108.
Yeah.
To me, like you said the other day, you smashed Lawrence at 112. I like Lawrence. Lance. You smashed Lance at 112. I like Lance a lot. I think he's right there with me with Lawrence as far as rookie drafts. And, depending on the scoring and stuff, there might be times where I'm tempted to take him over Lawrence. But in a startup, I just feel like Trevor Lawrence is a lot safer prospect than Trey Lance. So I feel a lot safer taking him in the first round of a startup draft than, say, a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields.
I think that's fair enough. He's obviously much more accomplished. Career's a lot stronger than Lance, so that's pretty much a no-brainer. But even if you go further down in this draft, I don't know if you want to talk about that, not yet, but Michael Carter going in front of Mac Jones, that's one to me is a little bit puzzling again. I like Michael Carter. I've got a few shares. And maybe if you're stacked at quarterback, you go there. But you'd have to be pretty stacked, I think. That's not a move I'd make.
Yeah, Mac Jones. Even Mac Jones at 2.02 is ridiculous, right? But that's the 14th player overall in the Superflex League, and this is a guy with 15th overall draft capital.
Yep. Just set the accuracy record for a rookie, right? I believe. Maybe not the best landing spot short term, but long term, Bill's going to put the pieces around him. So yeah,
And maybe this league just doesn't value quarterbacks like other leagues. It's the first year of this draft. This was a COVID league. I got kicked up because of COVID. Another startup that we did last year. Really good group of guys. And I think maybe, look, I haven't really dug too deep into it, but maybe part of that is roster construction. Like you look at Scott's team who took Najee Harris. What's he got at quarterback? Rodgers, Stafford, Winston. Yeah, I couldn't have passed on Lawrence. Could you with those quarterbacks? Could you have passed on a quarterback?
Well, look, I guess if you're going all in win now, maybe you do. I couldn't have. I know Scotty loves Najee, just like he loved Taylor last year. He hit on Taylor everywhere. So can't fault him for that. But yeah, that's just the way I draft. There's no way in the world I would have thought about that there. But Scott could go on to win the league, And so if you get the league win out of it, who cares really? What's the use of Lawrence? Excuse me, having all that value from Lawrence if you're going to come second, maybe that's the move to make there, but I wouldn't have made it.
Speak for yourself, mate. Dynasty's all about having pretty rosters. Come on.
I do love a good roster, mate. Let me tell you.
This is one of the other teams. This team, I don't. All right, this team I don't get passing on a quarterback at all. Look at these quarterbacks. And he passed on Trevor Lawrence. I am more confused than I was before I clicked on this roster. Absolutely blown away.
This is Benny Campbell, top bloke.
Yeah.
Loves his wide receivers, right? Knows his stuff. Pretty strong dynasty player.
Big IDP player.
Yeah. I think he played my first IDP league with him, which I won. But yeah, no. Yes, look.
Broken clock's right twice a day, mate.
That's true, mate. Every dog has his day, so I'll take it, mate. But yeah, it's a little bit puzzling for me. But that's the beauty of Dynasty, right? You structure your roster however the hell you want, do whatever you need to do. I guess there is that the sort of feeling that you can go win now and take advantage of some of these quarterbacks. 4 or 5 quarterbacks going in the first round. You're going to get some good players pushed out to those stronger teams that were, in the finals. So maybe it makes sense for those teams to go the players, but those weaker teams, I would have just smashed the quarterback each time.
Yeah, this year, this was the first. This was the first team to pass on the quarterbacks. Tua, who I like, Wentz. But, I mean, these are two guys who, if they don't play well this year, might not have jobs at the end of this next season.
And none of them's got the upside of Lawrence, right? Like,
we've seen Wentz's upside, and Tua was a big time prospect. But
yeah, I don't mind Wentz, and Tua was it was a good man. It was tank for Tua, right? That was the theme before his injury. But still, like I would have went Lawrence here just for that upside. You're still on mute.
Zach Wilson here at 110. So really, all the quarterbacks probably fell further than what they should have.
Yeah, definitely. I think Mick moved up for Trey Lance, so that was a strong move in my view. But then again, I traded out of the 107 for Kareem Hunt, so not looking too smart now, am I? And some mongrel knocked me out of this league too in the finals. I was going pretty strong till he knocked me out. My co-host. Yep. So
was that me?
Get your guy. Yeah. You knocked me out of the finals. I was 10-0 and cruising, and decided to go all in, and then you knocked me out. You mongrel.
Apologies.
You look real sad about it.
All right. Are there any other leagues or drafts that we're in together that you'd like to have a quick discussion about?
Look, I guess we could mention the Aussie Guys 5 league, the IDP league we're in, which I took over an orphan.
Some big hitters in this league.
Some heavy hitters, mate. There's heavy hitters and then us two as well. So there you go.
Oh.
Yeah, Kislingberry's in this league. AJG, your side's stacked. Lloyd Williams there. So I'm Sheng Long. I took over the orphan and just made it my own. Just sold everyone off and tried to hustle as many players out as I could. It's a start 2 tight end league. So in this league, I did think about taking Pitts because I think it's 2 points per reception. It's pretty strong. Pretty strong bonus, and you got to start 2. But my tight ends were pretty. I was pretty happy with them. So I just took Lawrence. I was tanking for him the whole way along, and was pretty happy to grab him at 101.
Yeah, and this is a 14-team league as well. So that quarterback value is just magnified. And the scoring, you want to have good quarterbacks because you get penalized for interceptions. I think it's 2.5 points per interception.
Yeah, definitely.
And at 5 point, I think it's 5 points per touchdown.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So Shenglong, then you went quarterback again. Then you went Devonta Smith over my man Waddle. That hurts, man. That hurts, brother.
I was a little bit bitter, a little bit salty that old Hutch, he timed out, and we were told if we timed out, we had a pretty hard ball busting draft master here that said if we time out, your pick's going to be moved on, even though it's an international draft. And I mean, he only missed it by a minute, really, and 8 hours is pretty short, so it didn't really bother me. But I was quite happy to have Zach Wilson fall to me. But Hutch made his pick just a couple of minutes afterwards, so no hard feelings there. But yeah, happy to get Mac Jones.
Sure, anyway. Mate. I'm hearing hard feelings.
No, look, they're right. The right decision was made. I think he would come on the clock at like 11:50 or something at night. And the guy wakes up Saturday morning. You'd be filthy. You'd be absolutely filthy if you missed your pick because some mongrel picks at 11 o'clock at night. Like Friday night. Come on.
I said to AJ, 8 hours is not enough time for an international draft. We got people from the US, we got people from the UK, people from Australia.
Yeah, well, he did wait for him, so fair enough. I guess maybe he's just trying to hurry the clock along a little bit, which every GM will probably try and do.
You took the first IDP as well, Micah Parsons.
Nah, second. I think Spinksy took Jamin Davis.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. Look,
Cowboys
I would
fan
take.
too.
I would have taken Micah over Jamin Davis.
Look, it's close on mine, I guess. But I do think he's, this year and then going forward, he's going to get plenty of points, rack up the points at the Cowboys. It was, I had Pay lined up as well. I was over Pay, could he Pay? But I took Chase Young last year. So I thought I might grab a end later. And I took Micah. And then I think later on in this draft, the 301, I had planned to go a defensive player, maybe go an end there or a linebacker. But Kadarius Toney was sitting on the board. So, by this time, Eskridge had gone off the board already, and some of the other wide receivers went run down more. It was gone off. So it seemed like a bit of it. Look, it's IDP, right? But 301 in a 14-team league to get a first-round draft capital wide receiver. And again, I'm drafting for upside here. He could be a Henry Ruggs, but it's worth a shot there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So let's just have a look at your. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid draft. It's not like taking Henry Ruggs with the first round dynasty pick. It's a bit different, isn't it? So
yeah, we don't hate players. We just hate the ADP. I think someone says that somewhere. I don't know where I stole it from, but that's what it's all about, right? Like, I'm not taking him in the first anyway, Tony, but towards the end of the second or into the third, depending on your team need, it could be a steal.
Spewing, I don't have any picks in this draft, but I've got a pretty loaded roster.
Yeah, I think you're doing it right. I think you made the final last year, right, and then one year before that. But I'm coming for you.
I know you are, mate. I know you are. So just want to let the viewers know that today's episode was brought to you by Primetime Sports Talk, your top source for all major sports content, including DFS, fantasy advice, and great gambling tips. Be sure to head to primetimesportstalk.com to check out their in-depth analysis, exclusive articles, fascinating interviews, and explore the rest of their amazing podcast family. Again, primetimesportstalk.com, your go-to spot for sports content. So just want to get that in there. Guys, go check out Primetime Sports Talk. It's a great website. Now, so we discussed, sorry, last, it was anything else at all that you wanted to touch on, mate? I'm trying to think.
Just one thing I think we're talking off air, we might have briefly mentioned it earlier on, is just those older players, right? I mean, you move on your players complete their peak, but we had someone trying to shop Michael Thomas in console wars. I was trying to shop DeAndre Hopkins and could not get a nibble. And so that's 36 owners. No, not one counter, not one bite for Hopkins. And similar for Thomas. I think no one really showed much interest there. So these older players, sell them before, well before the draft. Probably should have sold them last season, but I was still, at that stage, I was still competing.
We are going to talk more about this startup that we're doing after it's finished, but DeAndre Hopkins went off the board in the 4th round. Michael Thomas went off the board in the 6th round. So it seems like 28 is the new 30 for wide receivers. Probably been that way for a season or two, really. And I think there's some interesting discussions to be had there, and you could really capitalize on some of those values to build a monster team.
Well, I can sort of understand. Thomas didn't have the best year, but Hopkins still had a pretty big year, so I thought would have been some interest. But yeah, we're just ageist. We don't want these older players. So, like I say, if you want to take advantage of it and go win now, I think even some Devontae Adams went pretty late. So there's a Rodgers Adams stack there, pretty late in those drafts. If you want to go win now and cash out.
I think with Adams, a lot of people are worried that Rodgers are going to get traded.
Yeah,
and they're making
that's in the back of your mind for sure.
It's in the back of your mind, and you're also making that that corollary to Michael Thomas, who had that monster year 2 seasons back, and then had a down season last season. I think
it was
people
like 106, 107 was in Thomas at the time. He was in startups. He was the first wide receiver.
Michael Thomas. No one take Ian Thomas at 106 in a startup, mate. What are you doing?
I said Michael. What are you doing, Thomas? I said Michael. Maybe start 7 tight ends. You're taking Ian Thomas in the first and all that. But yeah, no. It's just these older guys. They're falling. I guess Michael Thomas had that bad year, so you can understand that. But Hopkins, still great landing spot. Still got a couple of good years left, and probably a bad time to sell him. Who wants to buy veterans in a rookie draft? Not really. It's not really a thing to do, right? You'd wait, see how you pan out, and buy him mid-years to move to make. And like you say before, there's so much information out there. There's just so many great podcasts, so many articles. The information is just everywhere. So, smart dynasty owners all around, really.
100% agree with that. I think most people, people talk about, not everyone's on Twitter, not everyone's on this, and not everybody does this. And I think most people playing Dynasty fantasy football are pretty hardcore into it if you get into that point. I find most people are more cluey than not. Sometimes you get a bit edgy and you want to win now and you think, just get this piece. But I think that's more far and few in between.
Definitely.
Well, I think we've talked enough for today. We can cut this one a bit shorter than the previous 2 episodes, and hopefully it's a bit more palatable for the listeners.
Make sure you check out that YouTube just to see Benny's lovely Winnie the Pooh onesie. You just
This is
smashed out legs today.
It's a Winnie the Pooh hoodie. All right,
Woody.
brother?
Yeah.
It's an hoodie.
Nice.
It's a wearable blanket. This thing is so comfortable.
I seen him on Twitter, actually. I didn't realize
Right.
that was an Woody, but yeah.
And Winnie the Pooh works on toilets and titles because at Coach Sheps, Disney travel agent, right? The pandemic will be coming to an end soon, people. The world is opening up. Go to Disneyland. Hit up Coach Sheps at Coach Sheps, and he will sort you out. You will have the experience of a lifetime. And when you're at Disneyland, you can get yourself a badass Winnie the Pooh hoodie.
Staying on brand.
On brand, my friend. On brand. So please remember to hit the like and subscribe page at the bottom of the YouTube channel. You can find me, Ben, at Live from the Ben. You can find Matt at FF_doormat. And the main handle is at Towards the Titles. And then, of course, the rest of the crew at Justin FF, at Coach Sheps, who I already mentioned, at Dirty Jobs 21, and at R Gonzalez RM. Go find the crew, follow all of them. They're all fantastic. Please leave some comments. Let us know how your dynasty drafts are going. Right? Love talking fantasy. You can reach out to us all on Twitter at any time. And have a great week.